Thanks. Hi, I'm Jill. I'm sober today. And I'm a grateful member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I get that I'm sober today from John O'Hare, actually. And so I have 2 years of sobriety. I celebrated on the 20th of April, and it's not my first round through the program. I had, 2.5 years or so, starting back in 2018. And, like I heard so many times, I started hitting less meetings, and life was going really good, actually. And then I went out for a year and a half. And when life was going good for me, that's maybe a little bit. I don't focus too much on why I went out and drank. I just did. I went through a divorce after a 19-year marriage, and I was pretty darn excited about it, actually. And it was a beautiful sunny day, and I thought that a shot of Absolute Citron sounded like a darn good idea. And I didn't drink any more than I had previously, but life certainly got worse. I didn't really grow up being too much into alcohol, and drugs isn't my thing. I'm not saying I haven't tried them, but it just isn't my thing. Alcohol's my thing. I was just always involved in sports, and I'm the youngest of five, and I have a really amazing family. My parents are still above ground, and they're 90 and 92, and their health's kind of failing, but I'm the youngest of five, and my siblings are all amazing. My oldest brother is an alcoholic as well. He's 12 years older than I am, and he still struggles today. He hasn't quite got it. And when I was 12 years old, I went to visit him in what was then Care Unit in Kirkland. And so I grew up with a good idea of what Alcoholics Anonymous was about. I watched my brother go through DTs, and I didn't know what that was until right then. And I've, the actions that I watched him have in his drinking career, I mirrored. I mirrored a lot of that. I kind of didn't get traction and get going into my drinking until I was, late into my 40s, and deep in my marriage, and I had 3 kids. And as my drinking was progressing, so was my anger and resentment, and I was a stay-at-home wife, and taking care of kids and keeping a house in order, and I really got to a point where all I was doing was drinking. I drank all day, from morning to night. If I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I drank then too. And when things were going really good when I got sober. I got sober on my own. I didn't have the support of my husband at the time. And I was pretty engaged. I mean, I walked around carrying a bag of books and journaled at every meeting, and then shit went sideways. I don't blame COVID for it, but for me, it impacted me, because then I wasn't engaged. I'm really a social person. I like to be engaged and see people, and hitting Zoom meetings, I went down to once a week, and that just wasn't really cutting it for me. I didn't have that engagement anymore, and I didn't know about any underground meetings that were going, and so I ran with it. In a year and a half that I went out, it's jails, institutions, and death, and I nailed 2 out of 3. I checked myself into a hospital more than once with DTs. I was honest with my physician, and told him about how much I drank, and he said, there's only one thing that you can withdraw from and die, and it's alcohol. Every other drug, you're going to wish that you were dying. You're going to feel so shitty, but alcohol is the only one. And so when my heart would be racing and I was fearful of a heart attack, I'd check myself in. So I did that 3 times. And then I got a DUI, and that wasn't enough. And after, and kind of all this progression, I knew where I needed to be. I needed to be sober. I needed to be back in Alcoholics Anonymous. And I had stayed in touch with my sponsor, who is still my sponsor today. And so as I started, going to meetings, and her um, advice to me was, fake it till you make it. Just keep going to meetings. And so I did. And I was really able to taper myself off from my drinking. I'd wake up, I'd have a sip of vodka in the morning, and then I wouldn't want to be hammered because I'd want to hit my first meeting by noon. And then I was going to meetings all day, and kind of did that on repeat until I just burned myself out. And I just, that was, it was just ridiculous. And so, I still went through that obsession to drink when I came back in. It was not easy. I'm finally able to realize real recently that obsession's been lifted. I don't focus on that drinking, and I didn't really focus on the fact that obsession had been lifted. God is doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I'm I am an absolute God believer. That is something that I don't struggle with. I'm fortunate that way. For anybody who does, I hope and pray for you that you find that higher power, and that spiritual, whatever that spirituality is, that gives you some relief to turn to. Because for me, when times are tough, I was also told someone isn't going to be there for me 24 hours a day. And that's a fact. And so at 3 o'clock in the morning, when shit's sideways in my head and I don't have someone to call, I can call on God, and God is always there. God brings me that peace and serenity. The first great experience I had with turning to God was when my youngest daughter was going off to Bozeman to college. And she was going by herself. Well, she was going with her big sister, but they were both caravanning over. And I thought, man, here's my two beautiful daughters, and they're going to be out on the road. I've made this drive many, many, many times, and stopping in rest stops, and I was really fearful of their safety. And so I had to turn it over, and I did. I just asked God to lift that burden and that concern from me, and it worked. I literally felt really, really light, and that was in sobriety. And so I know that it works. For me, the old adage of, if a doorknob's your higher power, then let it be a doorknob. That's fabulous. If you use it, and if it gets you into an AA meeting, then that's great. It gets you into a meeting. But you can't turn to a doorknob at 3 o'clock in the morning. It's not going to save your ass. It's not going to, you're going to pray to a doorknob. I guess if that works for you, great. That works. But again, just fortunately for me, I have a solid foundation in God, and Christ is my Savior, and I really turn to Him a lot, which is another reason why I'm thankful to be back in Alcoholics Anonymous, because I go to meetings. I try to go to meetings every day, and that means I'm connected with God. I'm there. That reminder is there for me every day. I can choose to go to a church service. That would be once a week if I'm lucky, and if I pare that down and start going only to meetings once a week, I can probably see what's going to happen. I still live by myself, so I could start drinking again. And just fortunate, like I said, that obsession's been lifted, and life is really great. Difficulties come along. We all know we're still living. Fortunately, we're still here and we're living. My parents' health is failing. And, in that, shit, I went to visit my parents, and my dad had just fallen down. This was just a couple months ago, and he had a major fall, and my mom found out that she broke a vertebrae in her back. Something like that I could have just collapsed over and started drinking and been like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my parents. Well, yeah, I'm going to lose my parents. But I've been given a blessed life with having them in my life, and along with my siblings. And now, my social group is all Alcoholics Anonymous, and the book tells us how we're going to build lifelong relationships in this program. And I am so thankful, that I have chosen that through God's will and opening up without me even realizing, because I don't think I really realized, I want to still control the show. And I want to think that I came up with this all on my own to come back into Alcoholics Anonymous. And I got this because I always got it. And I didn't have it before. So, with God's guiding light, I'm working it. My contacts are all AA. I'm on the phone consistently with texting and being invited here or there or wanting to go here and there. I try to be involved in every event that I can find out that's going on. I'm a North Ender, so I'm Edlin and LAC, and if they've got a dance, I'm there. I know I still like to have fun. Again, I'm super social, and so I like to hit all those events and still have a good time. Um, and the thing is that I've realized that I can. 5, 6 years ago, when I first got sober, I thought life was going to collapse without alcohol, and how am I ever going to have fun, and how am I going to stay social? And I've learned that I don't need it, and that I'm getting through life's difficulties, challenges, work relationships, personal relationships, family relationships, by turning to my friends in Alcoholics Anonymous, who've all been there before me. Whether it's my sponsor or the people that I choose to engage with, which is most people. I will not stand up here and say I love everyone. I am not Jesus Christ. I don't love everyone. I love most everyone, and I have the pleasure of getting along with most people that I meet. And if I've there's probably one person in my sobriety that made my sobriety difficult for a little while, and I stepped away. I stepped away from that meeting for a while, and I stepped away from that person, and then I get into that fourth step, and what's my responsibility? And for that, it's for that I am responsible. It isn't just responsibility to the next alcoholic, which I'm happy to be here tonight. There's a little bit of maybe healthy ego and healthy pride that comes along with it, because by being asked to come here, it helps me stay sober. And for that, I am thankful. I've got 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, but I don't feel like I need it. Again, the promises are coming true. And I'm just thankful for everyone that I have in my life, God first, who has provided and guides me. If I'm willing to listen, I have no problem praying, but man, that meditation part gets me a little bit. My mind doesn't slow down. I don't want to slow down. I go, 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 go. And then I don't sit and wait and listen for that response and that, what am I supposed to do? And maybe that's going to take 5 years. And I don't have that patience a lot of times. I want it now. And it's just not a now thing, but I can be sober now, and I can focus on that today, and every day. And it's pretty darn good. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to carry on and move on to the next event and keep celebrating this 2 years. And it's, no matter what, it's one day at a time. I'm not really a day counter anyway. So it's just, I'll just keep going. I hope that's God's will. And I hope it's mine, because I made it not my will one time and it didn't work out so well. So thanks for having me up here. And you guys just drive safe.
Thanks.